Hello and welcome back to All About Community. Again, my name is Robert L. Harris. I am your host and my guest is Dana Lane. Dana is a candidate for the BART Board of Directors District 7 right here in Alameda County.
Yes.
Except a little bit of San Francisco,
A little bit of San Francisco, so I'll be on 2 ballots.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yes.
That's better than being on 1 ballot because you got 2 chances now.
Yes.
I'm just joking. Now, if elected, what will be your top priorities?
Well, my top priority will be safety. I want to make sure there are some of the riding
What
public...
do you mean? You mean BART isn't safe? I thought BART was safe.
It's safer with me.
Okay,
but
safer with
it's
Dana.
getting safer.
Good.
But I also am a member of, I'm vice chair of the Police Oversight Board for
Oh, you still
BART
vice chair now?
Police. Yes.
Oh, okay.
For BART Police.
Right.
So I'm working with BART Police
And
Chief
it's
Kevin
similar
Franklin.
to the Police Review Board here in Oakland.
Yes.
And other police
Similar,
review
parallel, but
Right.
it is a police oversight
But
board.
it's oversight, yeah. I remember I had
Yes.
the chief on here several years ago when
Yes.
they had another chief other than the one they have now.
And it is, I think that police oversight is a movement. I've had a chance to go
What do you mean a movement?
It is a movement to make sure that there's engagement between police and the public. And I'm a part of that movement. I found my voice and talking to the chief and he likes me.
Who is the current chief now?
The current chief of the BART Police is Kevin Franklin.
Okay.
Chief Kevin Franklin, he's a good guy.
Okay.
And
well, if you say it's a good guy, I believe it.
we could work together.
All right.
But he takes what I say seriously, and he's willing to make changes. So I think it's something I'm able to connect with him. I can connect to the community. I can listen to people's concerns, and I can take them back to the chief.
So you think that BART is becoming safer?
Safer. So that is my #1 priority.
Okay.
It's safer, but we need to let the public know that it's safer.
And how do you let the public know that?
Well, we're our BART Police Community Review Board is going out to the public to table at events with the BART, so that we're telling people.
So you're
this is who we are.
communicating out to the public.
Yes.
Okay.
And particularly in the summer and spring, all of us will be there. But I have 2 other priorities. Sure. Cleanliness in this day of COVID.
Ooh,
Everyone
I wish we could get some cleanliness in the city of Oakland. I mean,
Yes.
have you seen what's going on here in Oakland?
Yeah.
You don't. I wouldn't advise you to start getting into that politics.
It's
But
too late.
It is
I'm in
absolutely ridiculous.
transportation. Yeah, so cleanliness, people care, especially since
Right.
COVID. And then thirdly is station life. I want to make sure that we have affordable housing around the stations, which we're getting. But I've been to seeing some of the housing, the transit-oriented development and retail, and it's the housing, while there are people beginning to rent at MacArthur
And Coliseum. I'm on the board of the Oakland Economic Development Council.
I don't see the
out in
station life
Coliseum.
that we deserve. I don't want people to drop their bags, get off BART and run, or get off
What do you
BART
mean,
and
get
go
off
into the
BART and
station.
run?
I mean,
You mean people
say,
get off BART and start running?
and they deadhead into their, whether it's Lyft or their car, they don't waste time getting to a protected place.
You want them to get off and be able to mingle or whatever?
I see the opportunities for farmers markets, for
good
retail, for
Are there any now, anywhere in the BART system, farmers market and stuff like that?
I'm definitely,
But
there's
you're working on
always
it.
been a farmers market at Ashby.
Ashby.
It is a farmers market paradise, but
that can be
it is a
implemented
market.
at other
I
places
think
as well, right?
To some degree, there will be appropriate retail, and when wherever there's retail, there's opportunities for additional additional eyes and ears on the system, whether it's officers or crisis intervention specialists, ambassadors. There's, the lease revenue created by that marketplace creates an opportunity
Do you have
for
ambassadors on the BART trains
right now there is a group that has ambassadors under Deputy Chief Jason Scott, where he does have a group of ambassadors, crisis intervention specialists, who address issues that patrons are having. So, and they address them without the force of a police officer. So when there are lifestyle issues, they are the eyes and ears, but they are also there to help people. So, I mean, that's a great thing, but, you know, we need to make sure that that people know this, so that the more they know about safety measures that BART has taken, the more likely we want to get the passengers back. We want them to feel safe.
How many passengers did we lose during the pandemic?
Okay, we've lost 60%. We've lost 60% of our ridership. The average daily ridership was 160 people before the pandemic. It was 410,000 410,000 per day before the pandemic. I was one of those going out to the airport when I worked for SFO, and it dropped way down, and the last 3 years, it's been about 160,000 per day, which is only 40%. That's not making fare box return.
That's 40% of what it was before.
40%.
But it is rising, and that's a good thing.
It's been stable, but we need to get it back.
Well, clearly, BART has been, since, I believe, approximately 1972, really an important vehicle, and it's so critical that we utilize BART. But at the same time, we want to make certain, and Dana is going to do that. Make certain that BART is safe. So don't touch that remote. Just put it down. We will be right back with All About Community. My name is Robert L. Harris, and I am your host. And my guest is Dana Lane.
Very good. Okay. Upcoming segment is 6 minutes.
6 and then the final 4.
One of the things that I didn't get a chance to talk about, I'm sure I'll talk about that.
We'll talk about
but I'm glad that I didn't, because I would have talked, I don't want to repeat myself, and one of the things that I didn't talk about was the fiscal cliff. Do you know about the fiscal cliff? Fiscal cliff. Because before we do this,
he's not going to do anything. I'm in control here.
The BART is at a fiscal cliff because the fare box return is only 40% of what it was.
Oh,
they've lost the money.
Oh, they got a budget crisis.
A budget crisis. Possible.
What is a fiscal cliff? Are they looking over the hill and about to fall over?
No, they got a bankruptcy crisis.
Okay.
And I don't want to really talk about it.
Well, let's talk about it.
Yeah. So the fiscal cliff, and if we don't get somebody who knows what they're doing.
Well, let's talk about that. All right, let it roll.
And you got new trains too, huh?
Well, yeah, those were purchased.
I saw that over the weekend.
Yeah,
I like those legacy trains.
Yes.
But it's gone. Hello and welcome back to All About Community. Again, my name is Robert L. Harris. I am your host, and my guest is Dana Lane, a candidate for the BART Board of Supervisors, District 7. Remember that, District 7. Dana, can we talk just for a moment or so about some of the perhaps fiscal problems we're having or will have with BART? Because anytime ridership is down, that means you ain't getting revenue in.
Yes, BART.
And if you ain't getting revenue in with expenses going out, that's a problem.
Yes.
Now tell us about it.
Yes. BART is facing a fiscal cliff. And that's a nice way of saying bankruptcy. Because if the revenue isn't coming in, and BART was making its operations, and so much was based on getting that revenue. Only 40% of the people who rode BART 4 or 5 years ago are on the system now. But they're still on the freeway. You notice the freeways are crowded.
Oh, yes, I do.
So people who should be on BART
or not, because they're on that BART, stupid freeway.
They're on the freeway,
well,
and they're afraid of the issues with. Have been in the past some safety issues, some cleanliness issues.
Yeah, definitely cleanliness.
We need to get them back. We need to convince them to come back, so that if you have to take the freeway, you're not there stuck in traffic. So it is a public transit. We need to get people back who should be back on public transit. There is that fiscal cliff, read bankruptcy, and if we don't have someone who knows how to get the money in, such as myself, hey,
Nothing wrong with tooting your own horn.
who knows where the money is, how to get it, already has the networks of 24 years. People, I used to go to conferences and people would tap me on the shoulder. Dana, I'd always get someone who said, we know that you're a grant writer. We know that you're a funding person. Can you use this money?
You're a grant writer?
Oh, 24 years
well,
of
then
grant
you should
writing.
be on the BART board writing grants, or at least
No,
helping.
I can direct
Right, I
staff
said
on
helping.
how to envision
Exactly.
what are the sources of
Exactly.
funding that we are eligible for.
And what are some of the sources?
Of course, we would start with, I mean, BART is getting money from Department of Transportation, but they're
right.
also getting money from the state. So there are state tax revenue that they're getting. But then we need to shake the bushes because there's Department of Commerce, there's HUD. We have funding, we have transit-oriented development. We have opportunities to look for other sources, highways. You know, there was, when I worked for the police department, I was writing a grant every month, and I found little niches, emergency funding and all sorts of funding, and you figure out what is it that you need and who has it for me, and if you take care of it, they'll love you for it.
Now, who are some of your supporters? Because endorsers become very important in any political campaign, and whether you like it or not, this is a political campaign.
Yes.
I don't care what you say about I'm not a politician. Well, the minute you start running for the board, you are a politician, whether you like it or not.
I never envisioned myself as a politician, but I envision myself as someone who can lead efforts. And so my supporters include, of course, Mayor Elihu Harris.
Now that's a good one. Mayor Harris, he's one of the greatest mayors we ever had. And oh Lord, I wish he could come back and clean up this mess in the city.
Yes, and board director Robert Rayburn.
Oh yeah, I've had him on the program.
Yes, he's been very helpful, as well as former board member Carol Ward Allen.
Oh, I haven't seen Carol in ages.
Contact, and
I haven't seen her in ages.
She is my advisor.
Good advisor.
Yes, and we also have Nate Miley, who just won his major election for the Alameda County as County of Alameda Supervisor, and a couple of the AC Transit board members, Joel Young and Mark Williams, have always been in my corner. We work together.
I haven't seen him in ages either.
Yes.
He's a bright young lawyer.
He's bright, and he's been very helpful to my perspective. And then I've got people that I've worked with forever. Barbara Parker, who is the current Oakland City Attorney. And,
I know Barbara.
I've known Henry Gardner.
Years.
Who has
Henry? That's
who
good.
has a following. He's my neighbor. He's my friend.
Absolutely.
I consider him a mentor, and he's a person of
and
strong
Henry Gardner,
character.
in case you don't know, is a former city manager of Oakland. Brilliant,
Beloved,
man.
brilliant, and I call it, before I make major decisions, I always talk to Henry.
All right. Wise.
and others. And so Regina Jackson, I've given events to her students on many occasions, career events on transportation and helping the kids.
So in other words, you've got a myriad of supporters ranging throughout the community. Dana, we got to go to break.
Okay.
So don't touch that remote, put it down. We will be right back with All About Community. Again, my name is Robert L. Harris. I am your host, and my guest is Dana Lane, a candidate for the Board of Supervisors of BART.
Board, yes. Thank you.
District 7.
District 7.
And she must be elected.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We will be right back with All About Community. Hello and welcome back to All About Community. Again, my name is Robert L. Harris. I am your host, and my guest is Dana Lane. Dana is a candidate for the BART Board of Supervisors District 7. Did I get that right?
BART Board District 7. And yes,
same thing.
yes,
BART
you got it
Board,
right. You got it
District
right.
7, Board of
Yes.
Supervisors.
There we go. It's all
The
good.
main thing is remember, it's the BART Board. And they are
Yes.
elected, and you are running for representation for District 7. And you
Yes.
want everybody
Yes.
who is a voter to vote for you. Is that
Yeah,
right?
and tell your friends if you're not in the district.
Yeah, tell your
Oakland, Piedmont,
friends,
tell
your
people.
enemies, anybody else who want to listen to vote for Dana.
I met this wonderful person, and you need to vote for her.
Now, Dana, how can people support your candidacy?
Okay, you can support it by going to my website to.
And what is your
first,
website?
My website is Dana4BART, and it's not the number 4, it's DANAFOR BART.com. And you can register to be informed.
volunteer and all that stuff?
You can volunteer, you can donate money through the website, and you can hear my
Especially
story.
donate money.
Yes.
Running for office is expensive. People
It's
need money,
expensive.
right?
I didn't realize you have to get that money before you can get house signs or literature.
Absolutely.
Yes.
It ain't.
So early money is
Right, free. Hey,
Vital.
freedom ain't free. It costs.
Yes.
Now, Dana, can I ask you to look into that camera? What I want to do is talk to our viewers
yes.
and voters and let them know why it is so important for you to be elected
Yes.
to the board.
Yes.
BART Board.
Yes.
District 7. Can you do that?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, there we go.
I want to let you know that I'm the only candidate in this race for District 7 who has the transportation funding and policy experience. I can solve problems. I love transportation. I have 24 years of experience. And BART is facing a fiscal cliff. It's only got 40% of its riders at this point that it had 5 years ago. I want to help. I want to use my network and my experience with transportation funding and policy to help get BART on the right track. I don't want to lose those jobs. BART enables people to have strong, well-paid union jobs, and we want to keep those jobs. We don't want to have a cutback in service or a cutback in the staffing. So help me to do this so that BART can be as strong as it can be. But I also want viewers of our community to know that as a Black woman, I know how to get things done. I'm a wife, I've raised 3 Black men who've gone through college. Howard, Morehouse, University of Wisconsin. I had to get them in a headlock at times.
But that's
But
all
they
right.
got through and because I had the determination. Along with raising these young men, I also made sure that their friends knew, how I had career nights, scholarships, a lot of
In other words, you are the right person at the right time to be elected to the BART Board of Supervisors District
Yes.
7.
Yes.
And I tell you, if you vote for Dana, you're going to feel like you're in heaven. Is that
Yes,
right?
I know how to get
All right.
things done.
We run out of time. So don't touch that remote. We will be right back in just a few minutes to talk about the Oakland African American Chamber of Commerce and some of the businesses. So Dana, thank you for being my guest on All About Community. Again, my name is Robert L. Harris, and I am your host. And don't touch that remote. We will be right back.
Thank you.
Hello and welcome to All About Community. My name is Robert L. Harris and I am your host. My guest today is Dana Lane. Dana is a candidate for the BART Board of Directors District 7. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. See, I got it. I even remember the district. I know they got a number of districts.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about your background. Did you grow up in this area?
I grew up in the Bay Area in East Palo Alto, which at the time was a predominantly black community.
It's no longer a black community.
It's no longer a black community, but all of my memories were about building our community. And there were a lot of strong leaders back then. Our heroes were not only Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, the Black Panthers, but we had Black Panthers living in our community, coming to our community to talk to us. And when I was in high school, they instilled in me not only the community, but the Panthers and our leaders instilled a sense of we have to save ourselves. And
well, I
was
went to school with Huey Newton and Bobby Seale. We were all at what was known then as Oakland City College. Actually, it was Oakland Junior College. Then it became Oakland City College. And then it finally became Merritt College.
Yes.
See, that was back in the day.
And they spent time with us. And I was in still a student.
They spent time. We all had a class together called Philosophy 101.
Oh, wow.
And I can tell you, Huey Newton took over that class. He gave that professor a good time.
Yes.
Now, let's talk a little bit more about what has been your professional career.
Okay, I ended up, because the message from our leaders was stay in school, get your education, I went to Wellesley College on the East Coast.
Oh, I've heard of that college. I have heard of it.
Then I wanted to come back to Cal, so I got my master's in business administration. But still, it was in me.
MBA at the Haas Business School.
Haas School of Business, hey now.
See, I know a little bit about that because I went to Berkeley Law.
Yes.
Of course, it was called Boat Hall at the time.
Yes. Yeah. And so I figured that I'd put myself in a position to help my community. At one point, the point that I was able to do that was when I went to work for Mayor Elihu Harris. And I became an advisor.
My good Cap Alpha Psi.
Yes, your brother.
Actually, Elihu was best man in my wedding.
Go ahead. Wow.
Go ahead. Tell me about Elihu.
I went to work for Elihu Harris, and I started exercising other means of helping our community. I was PTA president. At that point, I had 3 sons. I was married, and I became...
To Robert Lang, right?
To Robert Lang. And I wanted to help in any way I could, even though I was working and I had children, but I became PTA president at Edna Brewer Middle School. And this was able... From that, I was able to help the community while I was raising my children and working for the mayor's office. And then I went to work at the Metropolitan Transportation Commission, where they really knew how to get things done.
I remember when you were working there. I was at PG&E at the time.
Yes, and they were dealing with billions of dollars.
Absolutely.
And that was fascinating.
Now, how long were you there?
I was there 6 years.
Now, you learned a lot from that experience, right?
Yes.
And some of that experience, I assume, helped you get a better understanding of BART, because BART was very young in those days.
I was the FTA, Federal Transportation Liaison, on behalf of MTC, and I advised all 25 transit agencies on how to get their funding, when. We had calendars. I presented at the finance working group, and I kept everybody on track. We're going to get this $1 billion this year. So I was the advisor to the MTC on federal funding.
And now you want to run for the BART Board District 7, is that correct?
Yes.
Now, why do you want to do that? Seriously.
When I started working at MTC, from that time, I knew I could be an advocate. I knew I could bring in funding, and there were so many different complicated issues that I could resolve issues on behalf of various transportation agencies. From then, I went to the SFMTA and got $50 million that they didn't know existed.
$50 million bucks.
$50 million on top of all the funding they were getting.
Well, maybe you ought to run for city council. We could use $50 million, but you're running for the BART board.
So
now, why did you decide the BART board versus some other
board?
Position?
Because transportation I find fascinating. It's something that I know, something I can advocate. I have my networks. I've been president of our local chapter of Conference of Minority Transportation Officials. I have been involved in women in transportation, all sorts of transportation issues. I have networks of people.
I believe that. Now, what are the geographical areas covered by District 7?
District 7 starting at the Ashby station and all the way across to the bay, and then over toward up the hills to 35th Avenue, and then down. So it includes a major portion of Oakland, Emeryville, Piedmont, and Alameda, and all the stations in between. So Ashby, Rock Ridge, MacArthur, 19th, 12th, West Oakland, and Lake Merritt.
That's a lot of territory.
Oh, and I forgot one. There's
go ahead. Which one? We don't want you to leave out one.
Well, there are no other stations, but voters will in San Francisco on Treasure Island and on Bayview Hunters Point.
So
will
you
vote
go all
for
the way
me.
to San Francisco?
Yeah. Yes. The interests of this District 7 include parts of San Francisco.
If I remember correctly, years and years ago, when Will Ash was on the board of BART, I think he went all the way to San Francisco. It may have been District 7. I can't remember. I'm getting younger, so my memory is slipping a little bit.
Okay.
But we got to go to break. Dana, I tell you, this is fascinating, and I look forward to continuing the conversation. But again, we got to go to break, so don't touch that remote.
Thank you.
Matter of fact, just put it down. We will be right back with All About Community.
Yes.
My name is Robert L. Harris. I am your host, and my guest is Dana Lane.
Yes.
Board of Supervisors, District 7. And you got to get her elected. Viewers, you hear me? You got to get her elected. We will be right back with All About Community.